Hey, how's it guys? So I was about to start editing this video when I realized that the footage for the intro and outro were corrupted. I was fiddling around with trying to record my vlogs on a separate camera. This camera to be exact. I don't know what happened. It's just corrupted. I've used this camera for other shots, mostly hunting, usually for my hunts, and I have my bigger lens attached to it. So yeah, if you're interested in getting this camera, this is the Canon EOS Rebel T6. I'll leave the link to this camera down in the description below so that you could buy yourself a Canon. As well as I'll leave a link to this lens. This is the 70 to 200 millimeter lens. This is the lens that I would use to get closer footage of, game and stuff. Again, if you're interested in this lens, then I'll leave the link in the description below. But back to the video, I'm just gonna talk about what the game plan was going into the dive. Me and my good friend Rylan were planning this dive for quite a while now that I think back. I think it was like a course of 2 or 3 weeks where we just had bad weather. We were having heavy rains and like strong winds all the way through. The forecast was saying that the winds were gonna die down on this trip, on this day. So we planned to do a dive on the west side of the island where it'll be a lot calmer. Now Rylan's comfort range for diving he said was like 30 to 50 feet. And on this dive, he said he wanted to try and hit some depths. So we started off the dive by hitting some depth just beyond his comfort range. And then as we get further down the coast, then we would start going shallower. But yeah, everything kind of went to shit. So with all that said, I'm gonna dive right into the dive footage, and then afterwards I'll talk about everything. So we hopped in and then loaded up the gun and made our way to the first zone. For weeks prior, it's been pretty crappy as far as the weather. We had lots of wind, lots of rain, and because of that, the runoff made the water really hazy. This was my first drop, and I was super surprised on how comfortable I was and how well my breath hold was doing. Like I said, the water was really hazy, and usually that makes me feel like a little anxious. Usually this spot holds ukus, yellow spots, and goats, so I'm just scanning the area, kind of hoping that I see one coming around in the distance. Nothing comes in, but I'm really stoked on how my breath is feeling thus far. Here I'm spotting Rylan. It's the same spot, about 56 feet deep. And here he levels off at about 40 feet, so I thought he was gonna come up. I was super surprised that he decided to go all the way to the bottom after leveling off. I was for sure thinking he was gonna come up. Here he's tracking a good sized munu. He managed to hit it, but the shot placement was a little high. It went under the rock and eventually just rips off. We started moving down the coast, and this is about 52 feet. From the surface, I saw two really nice sized yellow spots. So I take a drop. I get to the bottom here and I'm looking around and they are gone. They must have booked it as soon as I did my duck dive, but I'm hoping they come back around. Unfortunately though, they don't. I moved up a little bit more. This is about 57 feet. I'm hoping they're still in the vicinity. So I take this drop. Yellow spots are one of my favorite fish to eat, especially sashimi. They're very versatile and has become my wife's favorite fish as well. Unfortunately, nada. I inched my way a little bit deeper, and this is about 65 feet. This was a blind drop, and again, hoping to see some ukus or yellow spots. Honestly, because this was a blind drop, I was not expecting to see much. But I was really surprised to see that school of horned kala coming in the back. Now I'm thinking there might be an uku hanging out here and this nice joe come in. Unfortunately, I kind of spooked him off a little bit. So I decided to go back up for air and reset. While I was at the surface recovering, Rylan decides to take a drop and the pile of fish moved off a little deeper. So now I'm taking my drop. I get to the bottom here, try to hide behind this boulder, but I'm noticing that I do not see the pile of fish. I can't seem to find the fish, so I'm thinking that maybe they went a little bit deeper. I push out to about 72 feet on the next drop and hoping I can find some fish. I really love these grounds with the big boulders and sand, but right now, no fish. I gave up on the depths and came back to the 50s. Right behind that boulder there, I saw a nice Ali mama. So I switched to the ski prong and decided to try and hunt him. Unfortunately, that guy had his degree and booked it before I even got to the bottom. So I decided to try and take him in Pachi since I'm down here. There's a nice current going and we moved off even further down the coast, wishing upon a star for a freaking yellow spot. But the grounds are barren. Not a soul in sight. When I saw this taco, I was super excited because now I'm bringing home something to eat and I don't need to see the evil stare, my wife for not bringing home fish when I get home. Usually these grounds hold fish, like even Vekenonos or something, but right now they're looking like Mojave Desert empty, just sand. I've given up on finding a yellow spot. I've abandoned the depths and I came to the shallows to take out the ski prong and try to get a couple more pachis to bring home. As you can see, it's like we're diving in a hurricane. It's super windy and it's even harder to stay in one spot to hunt these pachis. You can't tell, but the current is just dumb. You try pedal back up current and you're still moving backwards. We were trying to fight the current back up to the spot, but we started questioning life, like no joke. This video does not do it justice how bad the conditions were. It's like hurricane winds plus ridiculous currents. So I'm gonna turn up the volume and you can imagine for yourself the conditions we're swimming through. So that was a dive and the video never does it justice how bad everything got. When we jumped in, we took our drops. Looking back at his drops, there were definitely signs I should have paid more attention to as his partner that should have told me hey, okay, you know what? Screw the deep drops, let's go into the shallows. First was when he leveled off. He didn't go all the way down, he leveled off, and then he pushed further. Honestly, overall, his breath hold, he looked comfortable. What I mean by the level off, that should have been a sign for me that his sinus was acting up. Just to put this disclaimer in this video, I'm not certified, free dive certified. I've never taken any free dive courses. Just gotta put that disclaimer out there. When he got to the surface, he did look out of breath. I asked him if he was good and yeah, he said he was good, but the body reaction, he was out of breath. So that I should have taken into consideration too. So overall, I feel bad as his dive partner. I should have stopped it there and went in because afterwards I was pretty scared for my friend because when we got out, because of his sinus, he was spitting blood and I feel like I could have just prevented that from unfolding to what it became. And it wasn't anything serious. He didn't have to go ER or anything afterwards, but it's something I've gone through it. I've dove into sinus, I've spit blood and all that, but just the way he was reacting he definitely seemed out of it. As a dive partner, I should have known better. As far as the wind, usually at a certain point at that spot, we know that the current's gonna pick up at a certain point. I've been diving there since middle school, so I know that the current picks up, as well as my partner, but not to that extent. Talk about questioning life decisions. That was it. After shooting those menpachi, trying to swim back was dumb. It was like we're kicking backwards. That's thinking about it now. That's fucked up. I'm glad we both had floaters that could carry us, carry our body weights. I had the Evolve float. That's why I bought that float. In case of emergency, whether putting your partner on float or yourself putting myself on the float to swim through currents is exactly why I bought that float. But yeah, even with the current going against us, the wind picked up crazily. Like, I don't know if you could tell in that footage, my camera was pointed down because the mount is half broken. We had the current and wind against us. So it took us an hour and a half to get back to shore. And that's swimming on top of using our floats as a boogie boards. There was surf, there was wind, my god, it was dumb. And it was all the way back to shore too. There's a spot where usually in the last bait you can, like, the current ends. Nope, it just kept pulling through. So it was sketchy. Was it worth the menpachi? Not too sure. That was nuts. So yeah, for me, I gotta learn to be a better partner for my partners. That was scary seeing everything unfold with my partner, and afterwards having to deal with the elements. That was a sketchy dive. A lot of lessons learned in this one. I definitely got humbled. Thank you for sticking around the video this long. If you liked this video, please smash the like button. Let me know what you guys thought of the dive. It's fun editing, but it's definitely hard posting this type of dive. Not the most epic dive, shows a lot of my flaws, but I feel like by posting this, there's some diver out there that can learn from my mistakes. Anyway, thank you for watching. Also, I'll leave a link to Venture Wetsuits online store so you can get yourself an Uku suit or the Mamba suit. The Uku suit is by far the sickest suit. It reminds me of the Omer Ocean Mimetic back in high school when they came out with that Ocean Mimetic. I'll leave a picture right here of that wetsuit. That's it for this video. This was a hard one to edit and talk about. Not everything can be epic all the time. Anyway guys, I'll see you in the next video. Shoots.